In the last video, we nested conditional statements to compare more than one equation. If we want to check for multiple equations at once, we can combine conditional statements using logical operators. Logical operators allow you to combine conditional statements in the same way that you would combine phrases in a sentence. My favorite colors are red and purple. Let's use logical operators to combine the nested if statement from the last video. Let's duplicate this code and save the example in the comments. Now, we have two if statements. If num is greater than or equal to 10, and if num is less than or equal to 1,000. Let's combine these statements using the logical operators for and, a double ampersand. Now we're going to use just two displays. Either your number is within the range, or your number is not within the range. Let's run the script. Your number is not within the range. If I change this to 10, your number is within the range. If I change this to 10,000, we see your number is not within the range again. By using the logical operator for and, we require that both equations must evaluate as true for this conditional to evaluate as true. This combined statement clearly defines our requirements. We want to know if a value falls within a range. We are not trying to evaluate for less than 10 or greater than 1,000. We only want to evaluate whether the number falls within the range. Let's comment out this conditional and try an or. Using or means that only one equation must evaluate as true, but both may evaluate as true. Let's show an example of or using the double pipes to represent or. If num equals 10 or is string num echo 10 or string. Else echo not 10 or string. The isString function does just what it sounds like. It checks if the variable given is a string. I'll add a link in the teacher's notes for more information. Let's set num equal to the integer 10. Now let's run our script. We see 10 or string. Now let's change num to the string 10. Again, we see 10 or string. And if we change this to the string 20, we also see 10 or string because 20, in quotes, is a string. And finally, if we change num to equal the integer 20, we see not 10 or string. As I've shown you, using or evaluates to true when one or both expressions are true. When both expressions are false, the entire conditional evaluates to false. There are two different ways to write and or. I demonstrated the most common use first, the double ampersand for and the double pipes for or. You can also use the keywords and or as the operators themselves. Most of the time, you won't see any difference in the performance of these operators. The difference lies in the precedence. Which expression will get evaluated first? The special operators, double ampersand and double pipe, are used most often because they have the highest precedence. To see this in more detail, check out the teacher's notes. But let me show you a quick example of what this actually means. Let's comment out our last conditional and move to the end of the file. Let's add var1 equals true, double ampersand, false. var2 equal true and false. Now we can var dump var1, comma, var2. We can dump more than one value in a single var dump statement using the comma. Now when we run the script, we see that var1 evaluates to false, while var2 evaluates to true. This is because the double ampersand has a higher precedence than equal, so true and false is evaluated first, which evaluates to false. And then that false value is assigned to var1. It acts as if parentheses were added around the true and false. The second statement evaluates to true because the equal sign has a higher precedence than the and keyword. So true is assigned to var2 before it's compared to false. The second statement works as if there were parentheses around var2 equals true. Great work learning to express yourself through code. By using specific comparison operators along with logical operators, your code can not only solve a problem, but clearly define which problem it's solving. This makes your code easier and more enjoyable to read. It also becomes easier to make changes or add features in the future.